Today's morning coffee vinyl side. The Canadian Brass, Greatest Hits 1983. In 1970, tuba player Charles Daellenbach, a University of Toronto Music School instructor and Eastman School of Music PhD candidate, paired up with trombonist Gene Watts and a few friends and associates to found the Canadian Brass Ensemble, and the world of classical music was never the same. We've already seen how the powers that be in the hallowed halls of classical music, from concert halls to educational institutions, adhered to and perpetuated a rigid pedagogy. Though essential to its own vitality, innovation and change was always severely resisted by its ruling and governing classes. But as the seats of power became more decentralized and less European, and young musicians who grew up during the counterculture movement of the 1960s began to propagate orchestral chairs around the world, innovation and change was inevitable. Both a labor of love, a love for music and music education, and a hunger to take classical music beyond the traditional and formalized settings that served as a sarcophagus as much as a throne. The ensemble was an early participant in the Hamilton Philharmonic Orchestra's outreach program, bringing classical music to school children. They developed an eclectic repertoire and theatrical chops, including humor and theatrical staging to their performances, and were so successful that they became a cultural force that changed the way our culture viewed and consumed classical music for the better. The gatekeepers were prolific in those days. Just to get a booking in some venues was next to impossible. But through force of will and a fresh and inspired musical perspective, the Canadian Brass managed to kick down lots of doors, including busting through the Great Wall of China to be the first Western musicians to play there since the Cultural Revolution. What they did by way of bringing larger audiences to the concert hall and increasing the appreciation for classical music cross-culturally cannot be understated. In some ways, they might be the most important performance group to emerge from the scene in 50 years, and without them, nothing in today's classical music would look the same. This 1983 album is a best-of compilation, and features the classic lineup that was active through most of the 70s. And the cool thing, they're still active today, with original founding member and tuba player Charles Daellenbach still at the helm. In my days of playing in orchestra, tuba players were a rare breed. Nobody wanted to play the tuba. They were usually steered into it, or you could say manipulated, by a band director that needed to fill the proper chairs. And the worst part about playing the tuba, of its many challenges, is that it's super heavy and very awkward and cumbersome. I can still remember walking from our junior high school to the local Legion Hall about a mile away to play a gig, me carrying my electric bass together with the tuba player. Now, my bass was heavy, but that poor tuba player not only had to deal with the weight of his tuba, but also the awkward size and shape of the instrument and its very sketchy case. The walk to the Legion Hall almost killed him, where I used to have clarinet players fighting over carrying my bass guitar. They so wanted to be seen carrying a guitar. That poor tuba kid got no such love. He was on his own. I'm actually convinced that Charles Daellenbach formed the Canadian Brass so he wouldn't be the one guy having to carry his tuba to gigs on his own. He needed a posse. Well, he got one, and the music world is better for it.